Hey guys, it's Emily, or this channel obviously is Pucokie. We have Jami, your Chill ISFJ, who's an SEI in Socionics. Would you like to tell tell a little bit about yourself?
Sure, yes. ISFJ, SEI, I'm a 261 in Enneagram 2, Wing 1, whatever, SPSO. My channel is basically a whole lot of interviewing people for the fun of it. A lot of alpha vibes. We just have fun. We try to learn from each other. I super like food, and I try to be really friendly. Basic me.
Yes. And just to plug this before we really start our discussions, which this will be the first installment of Quarantine Talks. Jami and I actually made a video for her channel right before this, before my bathroom intervention.
Yes.
so yeah, definitely check out that talk. We definitely talked about really interesting things, and yeah, this is our first time actually talking face to face, which we've kind of talked about doing something together for, like, what would you say, like a couple of weeks?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
And we finally are able to have our schedules aligned, so here we are. So
Yes.
um, okay, so one of the things I really wanted to dive into, obviously we're in like unprecedented times right now, like where the world isn't, I mean, our daily routines and our lifestyles, or should I say my lack of daily routine, have been turned up on have been turned on their head. And um, a lot of people are experiencing loneliness and just like a sense of uncertainty. How would you say that you're feeling during this time?
Mm. I feel very like a need to be positive because I see that. I see what you're saying. People feeling lonely and kind of almost like drastic fear because we have
Right.
no conceptualization of like when is this going to end? Who's going to be, harmed by what's happening, et cetera, et cetera. And it's like at the end of the day, when I enter into conversation with people, I have to help with hope, you know, like this isn't going to last forever. I trust the NI in other people that tell me this, that this is just, for a particular amount of time. I mean, we're all kind of having to dive deeper into ourselves and figure out what we really want and try not to be plagued by the plague, basically.
Yeah.
So, I think I'm basically handling it by trying to be good to other people. It makes me feel better. I don't know. Are you
Posting
similar?
more memes.
Yes. Well, yeah, memes. I'm very like I'm gonna distract you with this funny thing, so you can like
Yes.
not think about this fear for a while. You know.
Yeah, and I think it's awesome to have people like yourself doing that kind of thing, because yeah, it is very uncertain for people. I mean, I'm fortunate in a way, kind of like it's like a double-edged sword. So my dad, I'm not going to talk too specifically. I mean, I definitely have talked about this on my channel, like in the past, but I don't want to, just because family members don't want people to know exactly where he is and stuff like that. But he does work in the medical field, and actually he is on the front lines and at one of the worst places in America and even the world for like this virus. And he'll be 65 like in a few days. So
Mm,
he's like right in that realm of like, if he contracted it, it could be very deadly. Um,
right.
and I mean, obviously, he is on the front line, so he is interacting with people in close quarters and having to be that person that is trying to take care of them. But also, it's been nice because um, he was kind of one of the first contacts that I had. And he's an INTP, and I believe that he's an LII in Socionics. And he like basically told me even before everything happened what was going to happen, in a
Hmm.
way, because he is in that like professional field. And I already was seeing that with like my NI, like that we probably it's going to get worse before it gets better. And so I was kind of quick to quarantine and stuff just because of what he was telling me. But it's also been nice because I kind of get like a bird's eye view of what is going on and without actually interacting. It's just scary because I actually know someone in my family that has coronavirus. You know, it's really hit close to home. So, but for the most part, I've been tried to be very positive. Going into that, which I obviously have seen so many things from you, posting memes, being like just funny in general. Like I find your sense of humor very intriguing, and also like I chuckle to myself all the time. Like when I see your posts, I think they're so cute, and I think you're definitely doing what you set out to do. But even outside of that, what do you think for yourself? Like I know it comes very naturally for you to think about other people during this time, but like have you noticed any like changes within yourself?
I think in some ways it's like I've kept up my routines, and I think regardless of whether the virus was out or not, I'm doing a lot of the same things I normally would. And
Mm-hmm.
so in that way, it's like I'm keeping my own stability for myself. Like even though there's a lot of chaos going around, that's important to me. Like I want to have my coffee in the morning. Like I want to like enjoy my books. I want to have that space for myself. But in terms of things I've been shifting, I think it's catching myself when I fall into like, um, maybe the negative part of having suggestive any, where it's like, things could be really, really bad. Like I don't have the NI that goes, okay, I can see the end point, or I can kind of
Mm-hmm.
see that this is just how things are progressing and, natural ups and downs. Um, my mind will go, it's just all going to crash and burn. And so I have to like pull myself out of that more frequently now than I would. And so it's been kind of a lesson in like not having control, I think. And it's like teaching me something in that way. Um, and me allowing myself to just kind of be this little feather in the wind right now.
In a way, I find that to be very like a very beautiful sentiment. A bit besides the part of like any like wanting to crash and burn, because I
Yeah.
do find, especially with
Yeah.
any doms, like that's just such a common place for them. Like
Oh, yeah.
and yeah, it is interesting because I think I admire the fact that you're able to keep up your routine, because I feel like for me it was like a paradigm shift, and I went from like I almost did like a 180 transition.
Mm.
Um but I also think that it's not necessarily type related. I was just in such a different space. I was living in South Carolina. I'm from Georgia. I moved to back to Georgia in July. And I had a roommate who was actually a good friend at the time, but then we had like a falling out. It just was a horrible roommate situation. And it was almost like a really horrible breakup, even though
Mm.
obviously nothing romantic happened. Um, so from basically September until mid-February, I was in such a like emotionally uh, suppressed place,
Mm-hmm.
and like in my environment was so unstable. Even though I did have an apartment and stuff, I could never stay there. Um, and then when this pandemic happened, like I was already coming out of it like in a better way. I was working a lot. I had like two jobs, one full-time job and one job at a coffee shop as well. So I was very busy. But when the pandemic hit, basically both jobs, one job was completely shut down. The other one was put on like remote, but then they figured out they weren't making money by being remote, so they had to like basically lay me and other people off from that job. So I had to kind of just completely flip my life. And so I made the executive decision, even though I was going to go back to school and all this other stuff, which I still am going to do, I had to make the executive decision to come back to South Carolina. That's where I am right now, and basically start my life again. So,
Oh yeah, that's a
yeah.
lot. Wow. That's interesting. You're bringing up moving too, because like I moved to the Midwest in December, and I felt more uncertain and shook then than I do now because my
Yes.
environment was in flux. So you having to to move in the middle of this too is like a double mess. I don't even know. Um, hmm, yeah.
Well, but like you have been kind of saying, I mean, I wish I was, well, not wish, because I definitely do try to make people happy as well. It's why I kind of made like more comedic videos and like why I do TikTok and stuff like that. But I, more than anything, I think from this, I've been a lot more creative, or I just have felt really energized, even though I wouldn't say that the circumstances are the best, but I definitely have seen even a mindset shift. Like I'm in
Mm.
such a better mindset, and um, I just want to create things where I just felt very like creatively suppressed for so long. Like, I mean, that's why I didn't post. I don't know if you were following my channel before, but I
Oh, it's
didn't
been a long
post.
time.
I haven't posted in like 8 or 9 months up
Yeah.
until like a little while ago. Yeah. And that was why, because I was just like, I felt, I mean, I was kind of being emotionally abused. Um,
Mm.
and I mean, it wasn't all like that person's fault. It was like sometimes a two-way street, but it just like felt very hard. I don't know.
I definitely identify with that. Um, for sure. And this period of time being, it's felt very raw emotionally to me. Like it forces you to be so honest with yourself, you know. I was watching, like, sometimes I'll watch these tarot readers, um, because sometimes they say things and I'm like, oh, that's so true to my experience. You know, like I don't have the NI, but like I still appreciate it because it's like you guys see something I don't see. Most of the time, these tarot readers are like INFJ, but they were talking about how like within this period of time, a lot of people are gonna be like changing, or they're gonna decide like, okay, this career is not making me happy, this relationship's not making me happy. Like all these changes are happening internally in people right now, and the caution from these tarot readers is like, you really need to think about these decisions you're making internally, because you could so easily go back into whatever harshness you had before this period of time. Like there's a reason the whole world right now is going through this shift, and you need to trust it, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's, yeah, key to me, I think, this whole process.
Yeah. And also to top it all off, as far as relationships go, I was in a relationship for like 6 months. Also, and up until like the end of March, so I like broke up, well, we broke up like the end of March, this guy and I. And I mean, he's an amazing guy and all the stuff, but I knew I was moving back to South Carolina and just other things. I just felt like at the end of the day, it wasn't meant to be. Um, but yeah, I mean, but I do feel like I was feeling that way even before all of this time. Like I was feeling, so I don't feel, I definitely can relate to that because I see this with people that maybe haven't had these kind of thoughts before the quarantine of like really wanting to change their life. But I was
Mm-hmm.
having these thoughts like way before. It's sometimes hard for like me to actually act on those
Yeah.
things.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
But
And
yeah,
so it pushed you into like breaking up.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely get that. This is the time. This is the time.
I also feel like on the other end of it, I feel like there's going to be like there's been a lot of memes about this, but I do think that a lot of people are going to get pregnant out of this quarantine.
Yeah, I see that too, because there's what are you gonna do? Nothing but each other. Like that's all people have going for them. Yeah, I'm sure. Like cosmic shifts are weird. I don't know.
No, I totally agree. Like, okay, kind of outside of like quarantine, which this definitely can inspire that as well. But as far as who you are and like what you want to accomplish, both personally but also professionally, or just like aspirationally, like, where do you see yourself, or like what is the mark and impact you want to make?
God, this is always hard, and it's always from
I
INFJs and ENFJs. Like, y'all are like, what do you want with your life?
know.
Oh God, I want to like, I just generally want to be a positive force. I want to be happy. Um, I don't have specific things in mind. Like, this is like the detriment of my life is I don't know where I'm going. Like, that's
Yeah.
what's really hard to me. Like, I can definitely appreciate the little things every day and find meaning in the day to day and the daily symbols and my SI and all these things, but like overarching goals, I'm like, I don't know. um, I really don't know. That's hard. I got
Yeah.
to be pressured by somebody into this so I can figure it out.
Well, what are some times that you like have felt pressured, or like what are some accomplishments or like milestones you have seen in your life where you may not have like meant to do that, but you're actually like you were jolted in a different direction?
Oh, well, I mean, I remember always thinking like, okay, I want to get my bachelor's degree. So I got my bachelor's degree in Chinese studies and English, and then I was like, I want my master's. So I got my master's in history, and then I've gone back and forth about whether or not I want a PhD. I presented at Harvard, presented at Columbia. Like I've done these things that have been academically like pretty cool.
Impressive.
Yeah, impressive. Like it doesn't feel impressive when you go and present at Harvard and you're just like scared out of your mind, you know? Like that's what people don't see. It's just like, oh, that sounds so like cool, but it's like, dude, I was sweating. Like I was so scared, but you know, you do it anyway, just so you, I don't know, you fall through. Like that's important. So since then I haven't had these like really intense goals. I don't know. I think I'd love more financial security, you know. SJ garbage. And uh yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I know that that's a hard question, even though I love asking those kind of questions. It's
They're important. They
yeah,
are. And so it bothers me that I have such a hard time. It does. I'm like, I
yeah,
need to figure this out.
but in a way, it's like kind of nice because I I again admire that, because I think I sometimes will live so much in a fantasy world, or like a world of like knowing that something's going to happen, but that doesn't mean that it actually does happen.
Mm. Like your desires or like your eventual endpoints, you mean?
Yeah,
Like,
like I mean, I can have such clear visions of like where I want to go in life, and like very much see it. But I have to take the action, obviously, in order for those to happen. But it just feels so real right now that I sometimes get caught up in those like hypothetical things rather than the real world.
oh, yeah, that's interesting. No, I like this. So I was just thinking about having like suggestive and inferior NE, whichever system you want to use, it kind of makes you your NE's not very strong. Like my NE's not very strong. I can't envision myself doing something I can't imagine, and I can only imagine things I've previously experienced. So when I think about, for example, like, oh, I want a new job, I can't conceptualize out of things I've already done or that I've heard about. Like the idea of being an entrepreneur in something, I'd have no clue where to start with that, you know?
Yeah.
So when I think about having this like long-term goal or something, it's like, what do I really want outside of what I know? I have no idea. Like I can't even project out there. So that's the cool thing about NI is like, I'm gonna be this thing, you know, or I'm gonna have this thing that maybe hasn't even been created yet, you know, and going towards it. Like I admire that because I'm like, I don't even know how you do it. I have no idea. Like my brain's like, oh, so stuck in what it knows.
That is super interesting. But I think like, I mean, obviously you have done so much in your life, and like it makes me wonder, how do you like, I don't know, how do you take these opportunities, or how do you find these opportunities if you're not really seeking them?
Well, I think it's like one foot in front of the other. It's you're kind of driving on a dark road and all you can see is the headlights in front of you, like that far. So it's
Yeah.
like I knew I wanted my bachelor's, and so I started on that road, and then someone put it in my head, hey, you should get a grad degree. And so then I was like, oh, okay. Like these little signs or something that you follow as they come up. So it's not even me necessarily putting these desires in my head. It's other people who go, here's an option for you you might not have considered. And then I'll ponder it and then decide yes or no. That kind of
Yeah,
thing.
that is so interesting. It's weird because like I feel like for actually so many people that's not extremely foreign, but like that is such a foreign like way of thinking for me. Like I like if we look at down a path, if you think about like Robert Frost's, like
Oh, yes.
yeah, like
So
that is just such a more like I don't know, the path that's not been
less traveled.
yeah, the less traveled path, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The path less traveled, I find so much more, I guess the word sexy comes to mind. Like, I mean, like
Yeah.
more in, like I don't like if I see there's all these, I don't know, maybe this might be TE polar in a way. But if I see like, oh, these are the little signs that tell me what to do. And like I guess with me, like I can see all the signs, like let's say 100 signs in a row without like seeing necessarily what's in front of me. But I'll be like, when it comes to like starting a YouTube channel or business or whatever, I'll be like, oh wait, I could seriously follow this and like be like an ILI and like really emulate this person or really do exactly what this person is doing. Then I'm like, nah, I just want to just like
Oh, that's so
whatever.
interesting. Yeah. Oh, but there's the thing too, okay? So like you could see the signs, you could see where you end up. For me, it's like this idea is put in my head. I can I can go like, "Oh, does that sound like something I could potentially like?" Like I don't know how it's going to end up. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Like getting a master's in history, I didn't anticipate having like the job struggles I've had, right? Because like there's only so many museums, there's only so many positions, whatever. I was just like, I want to study China more. And history is a way I can do that. So I'm going to do that. I didn't know what was going to happen afterwards. Had I had some awareness of that, I might have made a different decision. So that's interesting too. It might not necessarily be just our TE problems. I mean, I think that's a TE problem on my part, but it's like the NI is doing something different. I don't know. With its like
Yeah.
evaluative process.
Yeah, it's almost like we're like we have the same enemy, but we're like going about it in
Same enemy, different swords.
yeah, different
Like,
swords. Or just
yeah,
like a
yeah.
different weapon altogether.
Yeah. I want size. You can have whatever weapon you want. I'm gonna choose size for SI.
Yeah,
Close enough.
it's also interesting because I feel like in a way like we do have a lot in common because so I did international affairs in undergraduate, but I also was doing a dual major in history at the
Mm.
time. I didn't finish it. I very much could because I'm like 85% done with that major. Um, I have like a million credits because I was in school for 5 years for my undergraduate. But my language was actually Mandarin, and I went to China.
Oh, cool.
So, and I like am very, very well versed in like Asian studies and stuff. So it's interesting.
Where
So
in China did you go?
I
What
went
city?
to Shanghai, Beijing, and Nanjing mostly.
Oh, cool.
Um, but yeah, I spent like 6 weeks in China.
Hmm.
So
I studied abroad there for 3 months. We went to Beijing, Xi'an, Chengdu, Shanghai, and then we went to Tibet. But that was
that's
three
so
months.
cool. That is so
Yes,
cool.
Tibet was great. It was
Yeah,
very
I would love
interesting.
to go there.
You should one day. Let's go
So,
together.
oh my
Team
gosh,
Polar.
seriously, I would love that. I would absolutely love that.
Your excitement, like, boom. Yes.
No, I have like one of my best friends. I mean, I have a few friends that live there, but one of my best friends who also is an IEI, which I don't know if you can hear my cat, but I need to let
Love
her
it.
out of the room. She's locked in here. Let me go get her really quick. Oh, let me let her out. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah,
You're good.
but I forget what I was saying.
One of your friends lives, or you have
Oh
friends in
yeah.
China,
Yeah,
or?
she's an IE. I actually met her on the Study Abroad back in the
Mm.
day. And it was we clicked, even though obviously culturally our backgrounds are very different.
Yeah.
I mean, I've always related so much to Asian culture. My sister actually
Mm.
lives in Japan.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I've always had a lot of Asian friends growing up. I've dated mostly Asian guys. It's kind of weird, but um
Are you telling me about your fetish right now?
but it just happened that way, which I mean I've dated all types of guys, but it's just interesting because out of everybody, it used to be a thing when I was younger that especially in college, that I would never date a white guy, but that's not true.
Okay.
But yeah.
I got you though. Yeah, I got you. No, I've always had a pull towards East Asia. Always
Yeah,
have.
that's so interesting.
I don't know how it happens. It just does. And going there, it was interesting because you have this idea of what this other country, no matter where it is going to be like. And then you get there and it's like you're immersed and it's different, but it's so visceral to be there. Like, whoa, like, so this is what it is. This is reality. This is, I don't know. It was a really cool experience.
Where in Beijing did you go? Like,
We honestly just walked around. I think we were in Beijing for a couple days.
okay.
I know we went to the Great Wall and
Me
did some
too.
touristy stuff. The wall was cool.
Yeah. When did
And
you
I was
what time of the year did you go?
um in Beijing. It was August.
Okay.
hmm So it was nice out, and then there were some people up on the wall selling water bottles, for like double the price. And I was like, dude, this is too expensive. And she was like, I had to drag all these up here. You can pay for double. It's like, fine. Good point. It was fun.
Did you actually climb the wall, or did you take the little thing up?
Oh no, I did climb up. Like I walked up those like I was so tired. But then we took the toboggan down, I think.
Oh, that's so cool that you did that.
Yeah, that was fun. It was it was good. I'm proud of that. If I never go back to the Great Wall again, I think I did it the right way.
Yeah. No, I didn't take the toboggan, and I also didn't do the little. I actually walked all the way up and all the way down. Um,
It's a
yeah,
spiritual experience.
it is. It's. There was definitely people in my group that couldn't do it.
Yeah. The, pure sweat. I feel like I was pure sweat by the time I got up there.
Oh yeah, I looked horrendous.
Yeah, I was like, I did not know it would be like you have no idea until you get there and go, oh, I gotta walk up to the Great Wall.
Yeah,
Crap.
it's a lot. It's a lot. Did you go to Tiananmen Square and stuff?
Yes.
And did you get to
Yes.
see Mao?
I think we were just like on the square. Like
Okay.
didn't go inside anywhere. But even just being there, I don't know. I did a lot of different like research, obviously, on historical happenings, and it was very like, whoa, you
Wait,
know.
when did you do this?
This was in fall 2013.
Okay. So you went almost a year before I went. I went in 2014.
We were pretty close then.
Yeah, the summer
Wow.
2014. I was actually there during the 20th anniversary of Tiananmen Square.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was
that would
there
be
on the
intense.
day. Yeah.
On the day. Okay. Whew. Yeah, that'd be a lot. Wow.
Yeah. Also, where in Shanghai did you go? How long were you there?
Um, yeah, Shanghai was a couple days. I don't think we had anything specific. I think there were some like temples in the city we went to, which was kind of jarring because I'm like, this is in the middle of the city. Like, here's a
Yeah.
temple. And then there was this place called like Donut King we went to like 12 times. Like they let us loose in Shanghai. It was the last part of our trip.
Did you go to the big mall that's in like the indoor
Oh
mall?
yeah. Yes.
Did you go to Young's Dumplings?
No.
Okay. Seriously, if we ever go back to Shanghai, which again, one of my best friends lives there, we need to go to Young's Dumplings. It's probably like trash food, but it's like it has like the best soup dumplings. Like they have such good soup dumplings there.
I miss it.
Yeah.
I miss Bowser. I miss.
Oh my gosh.
It's not fair. It sucks. Thinking back to the food you can't have because it's in another country, it's like, that's a bane on my heart.
Well, it's so interesting that, I mean, yeah, it's like, it's crazy that, I mean, we have so much in common as far as that goes, because like, I mean, at the time I don't know about you, like, did you speak Mandarin or Cantonese or anything? Or
I had like a year of Mandarin. I think I ultimately had 2 years of Mandarin study, but like at this point, Mandarin's garbage. But at the time, I was okay at the time. Like I could order water or something, you know. Like I was never amazing, but you know, I did what I could.
Yeah, it was the same thing. I mean, my Mandarin's garbage now too, but I could barter in Mandarin. Like I was actually the best at bartering in our group.
I could say Tai Guela. Too expensive.
Yeah.
They'd get really mad at me. Like, no, it's not.
Yeah.
Good that you barter though. I would be like, ugh.
It's hard. No, they were like saying, "You're a bitch." Like,
in Chinese.
Like people in my group, they're like, "You're so good at this. You're kind of being bitchy."
The SE comes up.
Yeah, it's not really like in my nature to be like that, but it was like more fun than anything, because it's such a commonplace there, as you know, like to barter. Yeah. Like it's not like here, you can't go to a store typically and be like, you can't go to like TJ Maxx and be like, I want this shirt for like $5 versus like $50 or whatever. It's like yeah, interesting.
So different. And all of the like street vendors and stuff, that'd be where you could really, you know, try to push your limits.
Yes.
I bent pretty easily though. I was like, fine, this food's good. Like I'll pay you what you want.
Did you have a Mandarin name?
It was hold on, give me a second. What was my name? God, I totally forgot my name. Oh, Zhao Meng. Kong Zhao Meng.
Mine was Mei Li.
Oh, yours is nice.
Yeah, it sounds like, I mean, I didn't pick it. Like my one of my like Chinese teachers picked it, like when I was, I mean, one of my first Chinese teachers. And
May is in like beautiful May?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It sounds like my name though, like Emily Mei Li.
Yeah, it sounds so pretty. Like it fits you actually.
It's interesting because I feel like our experiences were different in China as far as like where our study abroads were, but like we had like we were grouped with a university in Shanghai. Okay. Was it Shanghai Studies or no?
Our school had a partnership with Sichuan Dashui.
Oh, okay.
In Chengdu. So we traveled for the first like week or two, went to the university, did our classes. On breaks we would travel, and at the end of the trip, after the semester was over, we went to Shanghai.
Okay, yeah.
So that's how we got everywhere. But what about you? You're talking about Shanghai?
Yeah, so we were grouped with like, I mean, we studied at that university, but we were grouped with like a Chinese conversation partner.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Because we were learning like Chinese, like we were learning Mandarin as well, different levels. Like I was at like the higher level than some people in that group. And what was interesting though, like on the Chinese side, those professors or like the people that led that group, it was obvious that they were trying to pair up like boys and girls together rather than, yeah, it almost seems like a matchmaking service. And I found out because like name meaning is so is such a like important thing in Chinese culture, just Asian culture in general.
Yeah.
And supposedly, I found this out later from like my really good friend, that supposedly all the guys wanted to be like my partner because my name means beautiful in Chinese.
Oh, that's cute.
No, it actually wasn't cute because they were trying to do other things too that I found out
Oh,
later. Yeah.
you're like, no.
So
Oh, wow.
interesting. Yeah, it's just so weird because like we do not like do that in Western culture. We don't be like, oh, Jamie means this name, like this
I,
meaning.
I better go get her. Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
never happened to me. Never. On the topic of like name meaning though, uh, there was this tour guide we had in China who her English name, they do it with English names too,
Yeah.
where it's like the meaning matters. Her name was Green. And people were like laughing at her or whatever. She's like, I really care about the earth and I think like we're destroying it here. And like she was
Oh.
actually very passionate about it, but like the translation, I guess, like, yeah, you wouldn't hear someone named Green here, but for her, like it meant something. And there was this guy I met whose name was Frank. And I was like, why'd you pick Frank? And he's like, I'm frank. I'm
I'm
honest.
triggered. I'm just kidding. I'm just joking.
Triggered? Yeah, I love it.
Oh no, why I'm triggered, but I'm just kidding. No, go on. Sorry.
No, I like it. Yeah. But like it goes both ways where it's like if they're picking their English name, like it's gonna have meaning too. And I like that. But to come after you because you're beautiful. Yeah, that's funny. Wow. It almost seems very like a manifest destiny or something where it's like your name is displaying some kind of future in a way. I don't know.
Oh
Because
yeah,
it's
like when like a parent chooses the name for their child.
yeah. Mhm.
Well, it's like if you named your child like intelligent and they
Mhm.
ended up being stupid, that would be like it wouldn't correlate.
Right. Well, you would hope that they would actually be named
Yes.
what it was. I have a friend who named her kid Belle because she thought she would be like Belle from Beauty and the Beast, but she ended up having like blonde hair, blue eyes,
Oh
despite her
wow.
parents having dark hair and dark eyes. Yeah.
That is so interesting.
Mhm. It's like fate was like, nope.
What is
Sorry.
what does Jamie mean?
I think it's
You
supposed
know?
to be it's just like James, I think. I think it's supplanter or something, and it's almost like you steal identities or something. I can't remember the exact terming, but I was like, really? Why am I doing this? Something to
Well,
that effect.
supposedly Emily means industrious and rival, so
Oh, okay. Yeah. Dang.
so I guess in some ways, to certain people, maybe I'm seen as a rival. I don't know.
I mean, it seems very beta, actually, to be
Yeah,
an Emily. Yeah.
yeah, it's interesting.
Emily's like such a pretty name, though. Like, it's like a classy, So it's funny that's the
True.
meaning.
I mean, it's interesting because also I don't have any bad experiences with people named Jamie.
Oh, that's good. I better not start the trend.
Yeah, well, you better not. I'm gonna get you.
Yeah. Yeah, for real.
Yeah, no, but it's funny because like I think it goes into like more than what we like in Asian culture they kind of have like, oh, this is the meaning of the name. It's more like we get, at least for me, like I get triggered by certain names or like I do associate certain like people or bullies or something in the past.
Right. I do the same thing. I will too. Like if I ever talk about potential like kid names, if I ever have a child, there are names I would avoid. Like
Exactly.
never gonna name my child Ryder. Heck no. Never. Like there was this little kid, like I worked at an early childhood center, so this makes it even worse for me because I know the little naughty kids. There's this little naughty kid named Ryder who went around in this classroom, dumped every single bucket on the ground, and I spent like an hour cleaning it back up, like bins and bins of toys. So I'm like, if someone, no, I would die before I named a child Ryder. I'm sorry. I'm not doing that to myself again.
That's
Every
so
day of my
funny.
life. Yeah.
Well, it's
Strong
like,
association.
yeah, I mean, no offense to anybody that has any of these names, and I don't
Yeah, no
necessarily
offense, writer.
dislike, but yeah, but like, for example, like the name Brittany or Shannon or like Amber, like all of these names kind of, even though I do know nice people with those names, those are kind of like people, or Jessica, those are all like bullies that I had when I was younger, like,
Oh, yeah.
or just like kind of mean people.
Totally get that. Totally. I know you
Um,
don't want the negativity, even though not every Jessica is gonna be a Jessica like that. It's like your own brain has the connection made.
exactly.
Avoid it.
So it is interesting. Kind of going back to like the quarantine stuff, like
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
which no, I think it will be interesting. I feel like for these, like obviously you're kind of the guinea pig for this. Well, you are the guinea pig. But like I
Mhm.
kind of wanted to have it more of like an open discussion format, like not be too, so I'm glad that we kind of steered off in a different direction. But like what are your goal, or maybe not goals, but like what are you looking forward to most out of, like when you get out of quarantine, or like just like after this season in our lives has ended?
I think one, just knowing that, you know, I made it through. That's positive. And then just having those kind of weekly things I normally would have had. Like I not being able to like go to a bookstore sucks, you know. Like when
Yeah.
you're in the mood to do something, it's nice to get out and do it. Being able to go to a grocery store whenever I want to and not having to kind of have that, not necessarily worry, but like awareness that we shouldn't really be going unless we need to. You know,
Yeah.
like there's some guilt almost there. And it's like, is it so wrong to want to go and peruse a grocery store, you know, and take my time and that kind of thing? That sort of thing to be back on the plate, I guess, sounds nice. And I think meeting up with people, you know, I had a friend that lives within an hour from me who's into type actually. And her and I would meet up every couple weeks, and we haven't because of this. So I'm like, as soon as this is over, we're gonna chat, you know, in person again. So probably those things. Yeah.
No, I can relate for sure. Like, I mean, since I've had to move back to South Carolina, but it's also been like a choice of mine too. Like, I used to have this meetup group, like this weekly meetup group. And it was like one of my favorite things about living here. Because like I would work full time, and then on, like, let's say every Wednesday I would have this meetup group in a coffee shop, like, and we would have, it was called the Thought Provokers, and we talked about like all different subjects and typology too. Like I got some of them into it. That's something that I really very much look forward to doing. And also like something that I've kind of realized, and I think maybe you have too, or just like people in general, is like how important communication and like connection is during this time. Like I have like seen myself reaching out to certain people more than I would in normal times, and like not taking certain relationships as like for granted or whatever.
Mhm.
um I don't know, I also like want to just be able to travel and stuff and like see people. I think I've kind of discussed this with other people, but I think it would be really cool to eventually do like a typology like conference or meetup or something where we had like a central location, particularly in North America. That seems to be like where the majority of the people, at least from my channel and like that I know, are, and like maybe in the Midwest somewhere, meet up, and like that would be really cool.
Yeah, no, I agree. It'd be awesome to have everybody just chilling together. I post on Twitter sometimes like, let's just get together and have a big buffet.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. Like, it'd just be nice to chat in person. And I think, like, the woman I was talking about who I meet up with every couple weeks, like, I met her through Twitter and her YouTube videos. And so meeting her in person was like this really, like, whoa, you know? Like, I knew you online first.
Yeah.
And, like, I'd never done that before with someone. So it's like, whoa, like you are a real human being and you're breathing and this is different. Like it's very cool.
Yeah, and in a way, like with it definitely isn't always this way, but I would say, like, for me, from my experience, because I have met up with quite a few people from, like, being online. I've dated people notoriously from whatever.
Gotcha.
But like, yeah, it's interesting. It's You definitely have an idea of who someone is through maybe videos, even like through this conversation, like the energies that we have in person. Like, I do feel like you can feel people's energies, and like, just like people's auras and everything will just feel even more intense or just different, like, in person, which is cool. I really
Yeah.
like that. And then, like, even just seeing someone's physical presence, because a lot of people tell me before they meet me, they think that I'm like short.
Oh.
Um,
Uh-huh.
and then they get like very surprised. Like, she even mentioned this in the video that we did. I'm like right around 5'9", like in 3/4 to like 5'10". So like
Oh, wow.
yeah, so like for people it seems like, oh my gosh, you're like a lot taller than I expected. So it's
You're at
interesting.
the model height, you know?
Yeah, well, maybe, but yeah, obviously I've never explored that realm.
Not not yet. Not yet.
Yeah, not yet at my older age.
Yeah, you look on camera, you look petite. You look like a pixie, you know, like a cute pixie. Like I'm five
Oh,
four, and I would have
you
thought I would have
are
been.
small. Oh
Yeah, see,
my
like
gosh.
I would think that you were smaller than me, like in height.
That's so weird.
So
Yeah,
funny.
I do think there is such, I mean, like, not to get into this too much, but like there is such a thing of having like smaller bones or whatever.
Yeah. Mhm.
Like, I mean, not necessarily to the sense of like, I mean, obviously extremes, but like I've always been kind of like on the smaller side, like weight wise and
Mhm.
just stuff like that. So I think that's partly it. And I have like maybe smaller shoulders and like certain things, like my hands are kind of small, stuff like that. I have a big head, but you can't really necessarily tell.
Oh. No, it's weird what the camera does too. Like I had someone commented like, "Yeah, Jamie looks really stocky." I'm like, "I'm 120 pounds. I'm 5'4". Like I'm not stocky.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
it's it's weird. Like you see me in person, maybe I'd look really different. I'm not sure. Really.
Yeah,
It's hard
and
to say.
it's interesting too. Like, I mean, personally, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like we would get along really well, like, in person. But
Yeah.
there's definitely people that I kind of know that if I met them in person, it would be kind of like, you don't meet your idols kind of thing, or not like necessarily your idols, but like, because like obviously I don't necessarily like think of other people on YouTube as like necessarily celebrities that are in this community, but when you meet someone in person, they're going to be different. Like, even if they're completely the same, it's going to be different.
Mhm.
So it's just interesting.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I think too, some people probably come off different. I don't know. I honestly don't feel like I'm any different in person, other than maybe I have to go hide sometimes so I can like refresh my introversion. But I'm still a dork, you know? Like I'm still like, just give me food. Like very similar, and you're probably similar, you know?
Yeah, I think when I'm talking to people, like how we are now, I think I'm more like myself than, say, if I just film a video by myself. Like, when I
Yeah.
film a video by myself, I feel like I really get in my head and I just can come across as like, a lot of people see me as not even like, a lot of people see me as an INTJ and Myers-Briggs, because
Mm,
they don't necessarily see me use that like that like FE like super well or like strongly. But in person, I feel like I come off as a lot more extroverted in certain situations. Um,
mm.
I don't know.
I watched you on that the IEI World Socionics Society party, which people should go check out. You're in that one. I'm in the SCI one. We both like to party apparently. But
Yeah, I watched yours.
oh, thank you. And I know someone was like she's an INFP, which I'm wondering if you get that a lot too. Like
I
people think you're
get,
INFP.
they think, so in socionics, a lot of people think that I'm either an ILI, ESI, and maybe sometimes people do think I'm an EII. More so in like when I first started my YouTube, like people did think I was an INFp in Myers-Briggs, or like an ISFP. And then like INTJ. So it really is just like those personality types that I get the most. But I think it's because I think I'm pretty good at like controlling how I come across, if that makes sense. I don't know. And I'm also not so good at like I'm not like a actor, like a trained actor, or like I don't have a theatrical background. So like I don't know. It's like certain people actually do that are in this realm, or maybe they're just like more comfortable at delivering information. Like for example, Jack, like he's very like, theoretical and very good. Like that's very natural for him to talk in the manner that he does. Whereas like for me, it's hard. I don't know.
Yeah, I understand that. Like the way that you explain yourself. I don't know. I I don't have a theater background. I just talk how I talk. Yeah, I'm kind of like I'm kind of where you are, where it's like I'm naturally reacting and talking. I'll edit something out if it makes no sense, that kind of thing. But I guess some people try to come off a certain way. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It's interesting because like from going back to like how people see me in person, I would say that most people, if not everybody, has said that I'm like the same person that they see online. I mean, obviously, like if you just see the videos where I'm by myself, it's not necessarily the way. But like a lot of those people saw me like in interviews and interacting with other people, so they said that I was pretty much the same way as I was, just besides like the height like thing. Yeah.
Same way.
Whereas
Well,
I've definitely met people that are different.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Like, very different than how they perceive themselves or like portray themselves.
Yeah, it's a good question too of like, is it a portrayal? Or is this just how the camera's making them? Like, is the camera the puppeteer? Like, what's happening? Yeah. I mean, doing videos on your own, because I did that for a long time, and I thought I was an INFP when I first got into MBTI. It was weird at first, like just being like, okay, I'm going to talk to you about this topic, camera. Like, whatever. You have to like warm up to that and like almost pretend it's a person. Or,
Exactly.
yeah. And it's very odd.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry. I was just.
Oh, no. It's odd. That's all. It's odd.
Yeah. It is like almost like talking to a person, and like you have to make it almost that way. And that's why, I mean, it seems like both of us thrive from like talking with other people, like doing a more interview style interaction rather than having to be like, this is me, like.
Yeah.
But, yeah, is there anything else you want to talk about before we wrap this up?
Is there anything food-wise you miss? Like, is there a restaurant that closed for this quarantine, or like um a coffee shop or something? Like, is there a specific food item that you haven't been able to have?
Yes. So like going back to China, I love bubble tea. Like I love boba.
Oh yeah.
So I really miss like, yeah, just having that. Also I miss like there's this really awesome coffee shop that I like to go to called Methodical, and I really miss their coffee. But right now, like I actually feel very hungry because
Yes.
my mom actually made pizza and I can smell it from here and it smells so
Ooh.
good. So,
Yum.
but what about you?
There's a family restaurant in town that they make like a mushroom and cheese omelet, and
Mm,
I'm missing it a little bit. Yeah. I mean, tons of different things, but like I really feel for like the small restaurants that
yes.
can't be open right now that potentially won't reopen. Like, that makes me really sad.
Oh my gosh. I feel like we could talk so long just about that. Like
I know.
I feel so
Drop the
bad.
bomb.
Yeah, I feel
Yeah.
so bad for like new businesses or like just like small businesses that like obviously like chains or bigger businesses, even if they had to shut down, they're able to stay afloat because they're like these very, I don't know, established places. But if you're just like this new, especially a restaurant, like the restaurant industry is a fickle like friend, because you're gonna like, it's a roller coaster, and if you are not making the rent, you can shut it down real quickly.
Yeah.
So
100%.
well,
So let's
that's
hope people make
uh,
through.
me too. Yeah, that's kind of sad. Well,
I
it's
know,
very
sad
sad.
note. No, everybody survived. This is fine.
Yeah, but I think just to close it out, first of all, Jami, you have been a surprise and a delight. Like
Oh, girl, sorry.
it's been awesome, and you guys should obviously subscribe to her channel. I would love to do stuff in the future with you, and I know that you have some really vast knowledge on all different subjects, and you're like have already impressed me in a lot of ways. And I don't know, I just feel like you are a shining light in this community where we really need people like yourself, and especially representing a type that I feel like is shit on all the time.
Yeah, that's probably the best part of that whole sentence. No, that's beautiful. That's so sweet. Yeah, and yeah, thank you. That's so
Well,
kind.
I'm so glad that we had this conversation.
I know, you're also a pleasant surprise too. I had no idea. You never know, audience. We never know what it's gonna be like to get into one of
Yes.
these conversations, because it's like you have no idea. We're two people. We're gonna react to each other somehow, and it's always nice when it's like, oh, like I dig this vibe, you know? Like,
Yeah, exactly. Because we were talking before, like, I mean, we were friends on Facebook with each other, and like we talked like on a chat, and I like had seen you on Twitter, stuff like that. But it wasn't like we were like having video calls or even like voice calls with each other.
yeah.
So it's crazy.
I agree. And you can totally have the opposite thing happen where you click so well in messages and then you get on a video and it's like the communication just doesn't happen. It just doesn't work. And I don't know how that happens, but it does.
It
Been there.
definitely does. And I actually hate that.
Me too. I'm like, this is a lie.
Yeah, like
Dang it.
that's actually, so I used to be like a huge texter. Like this will come to as a huge shock for most people because I'm like the worst texter ever now. But I used to be like so into it and like get into like paragraphs when I was like in middle school and high school, like with guys especially, like back in the day. And it just but or just like, yeah, like even friends. But it was, I somewhere down the line I was just like, this is shitty. Like I hate the fact that I like really connect with this person via chat, and then like when I meet them in person or even have like a video or like even just like talk on the phone, it's just like not the same. So I would much rather have this be like exceed expectations versus like a, oh, let me see if I can text you.
Yeah. No,
Because
I
also, I mean,
100%.
God forbid, you don't know if that person's actually texting you or if it's someone else. Because it very well
Good
could be
point.
it's someone else.
And you have more time with texting too, where it's like, okay, you can pick and choose pieces to respond to, whereas in a conversation, you're kind of like, let's go. Like,
Exactly.
let's see what you point out and where you take us and see if you prove yourself to be a serial killer or not. Like, you know, like it's a little easier to tell in person. Like, okay. Right. No, it's all good.
No,
No, this has
my
been
cat's a serial killer. Not this cat, but I mean, obviously he's not alive anymore. But my cat Flair, who was like wanting to get out of the house, she kills a lot of animals. But that's
oh
another
geez.
topic.
Huntress.
Yes, that's actually what my mom and I call her. It's like Huntress. Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
yeah,
Wow.
and we also call her Killer too.
I
Because
love it.
the thing is, I wouldn't be surprised if she's actually an IEI or even an SEI.
Hmm.
She has a very like almost just like very innocent vibe to her, like very
Okay.
sweet and innocent, just very like also like she loves people, but she's also, she likes to be on her own too, but she is just very empathetic, like as a cat. But also she has this like other side to her where she kills and she like brings home like bunnies and like moles and like all other animals and stuff. But yeah, definitely subscribe to Jami's channel, and I want you guys to comment like maybe your experiences with ISFJs, and if you are an ISFJ or an SEI in Socionics, like let me know, because we need more of you out there.
Yes.
So yeah.
We do.
Any closing remarks?
Y'all better be eating and drinking water. Because if you're not, you're gonna feel worse. So I'm not gonna hear it, NJs. Do what you need to do.
I actually need that because I like find myself not drinking enough water. So
this is for you too.
Yeah.
Emily.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Jami. And again, I hope you guys have a great day. And I hope that like we all get out of this alive, as you said, and we're better off for it, even though it is like the worst. I mean, like one of the worst times for some people.
Yeah.
So
yeah, totally agree.
All right. Bye, guys.
Peace.